LeBron James's big decision just got a ton more news, and with Rich Paul directly revealing the full whiteboard and list of teams that LeBron is in talks with. We didn't just find out every team that has been a part of these discussions to land LeBron, but we've also found out how the race has changed a lot. And there are two teams that LeBron is really considering, and one that nobody has expected that might have taken the lead altogether. And now, before we go any further into this, if you think LeBron will be an all-star next season, leave a like and hype up the video. If you think we will see him make a finals run once again, make sure to leave one of those likes. And well, speaking of the finals, seems like LeBron and Rich Paul are thinking about who LeBron will be able to actually get there with, and where LeBron can truly contribute to a contender like no other, as well on the newest episode of Game Over with Rich Paul and Max Kellerman. LeBron's agent and right-hand man pulled out the massive whiteboard that showed us the entire decision-making process of where LeBron is considering going. And some things to note off the bat is that the Knicks were on the board, but Rich Paul said that that window closed as soon as they won the title. And that while the Spurs are there, the Spurs closed the door when they got Tobias Harris. And then the Celtics are written here as a wild card with Brad Stevens and Tatum as the draw, and also Dallas. And I guess that's the Kyrie connection. And at the top left of the board, you see Steph and Dre, which what this shows us is that Golden State is falling out of the top circle. And while they were maybe winning this race a few days ago, when the idea was starting to be floated, they are falling behind because as teams are doing everything to get LeBron, without them getting AD, what do they really have other than the excitement for that tour poster of LeBron James and Steph Curry going to arena together, as their roster hasn't gotten better. And from Steph to Porzingis to Jimmy, half of their guys are not even dependable to stay on the floor. So it seems like LeBron is not just pushing them back, but he is losing interest in going there in total. And when you see the 5 teams circling around LeBron, well, you see Cleveland, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Denver, and Miami. And for Cleveland, while you can see, and Rich Paul talked about it on the pod, there are people in the organization and front office that are family with LeBron. You see it says no Garland minus. Rich Paul even explains that that's an absolutely huge con, because LeBron loves Garland like he loves Tyrese Maxey, who were pretty much like the basketball equivalent to his godsons with how they came up through Clutch Sports, the empire that LeBron and Rich have built together. And to be honest, while Golden State seems to have fallen out of the top 5, they're not the only one who has taken a massive downturn here, as Cleveland seems like they are in last place out of all of the Tier 1 suitors. The one written in the inner circle of the board with the starting lineups laid out, as when you hear Rich Paul talk about it, it seems like he just doesn't love Harden next to LeBron necessarily, as it just doesn't move the needle for him. And at the end of the day, LeBron will get stuck with playoff Harden. And when it comes to the top 4, without Cleveland, that leaves you with Minnesota, Denver, Miami, and Philadelphia. And while Minnesota and Denver are the landing spots that are definitely wild cards that are only going to get LeBron depending on how everything else goes, based on the way Rich Paul is talking, there is a 2-team race, at least at this present moment, between Miami and Philadelphia. They are the top teams, and based on the current way both rosters are being built, there is a number 1 when you break it down. And for the case in Miami, you see it on the board, and Rich Paul went on to talk about it, but LeBron and Pat Riley are on good terms again. The Spoelstra relationship is as good as ever, and they also like the core. Giannis and Bam, Davion Mitchell, Wiggins, I'm sure Tim Hardaway Jr. is sweetened the deal as well. And when you heard the dialogue of Max and Rich, they are looking at Miami like they have a team that LeBron can plug into, add a little more playmaking, add more scoring and offense in general, and play defense when it matters, and add another great basketball mind to what might be the NBA's defensive juggernaut next season. And overall, with Miami, be a part of this great unit with Giannis Antetokounmpo leading the charge. But it also does seem like, with that said, Rich Paul and LeBron want them to make another move. They're not completely in love with Miami, and they want to see how the rest of the roster will be filled out to make sure they have a good enough team to compete in the East. But even with the injury history of somebody like Giannis and the concern that it could be there, when you think about the location, the weather, and what it will mean for the lifestyle and change for LeBron and the James family, which will be the most lateral to LA, that seems to be another pro that's keeping this team as high, especially because LeBron and his family also have been there before, although it was years and years ago. But now, with all that said, while it seems like this is Miami's race to lose, and Cleveland and Golden State just don't have the infrastructure to have the best rosters in different ways. You know who does and whose entire roster has decent to great relationships with LeBron? The Philadelphia 76ers. And with how much airtime Rich and Max gave talking about the team alone, most of this pod was dedicated to them. Something is very clearly being spelled out, or at least right now internally, there is the most conversation about the upside of doing this. And when you see the roster on paper and their relationships to LeBron at this point, it's hard to not see why they are emerging as the favorite. Because when you see Paul talk about the downside of Cleveland being that Garland is gone, and then Paul explains how Garland is like family with LeBron, just like Tyrese Maxey is, well, that's a point for Philly and a big point for Philly. LeBron loves Tyrese Maxey and has spent years working out with him, helping him, and being a mentor and force in his career and development as an NBA star. And that connection could be a driving factor to this team up. We know LeBron loves playing with great young point guards. We could see almost like a modern version of LeBron and Kyrie, perhaps. And then when you think about the rest of the roster and think about Joel Embiid and how they played on the 2024 Olympic team, and we saw how that worked. And then you look at the rest of the roster and you got a talented young star in VJ Edgecombe. Who knows how he can evolve? Jaylen Brown is a perfect player next to LeBron. It would create a terrifying combo of the 3 and the 4, maybe the most terrifying 3-4 combo ever, and the scoring options would be insane. Imagine a court where you have to cover Maxey, Brown, Bron, Edgecombe, and of course, when healthy, Joel Embiid. That is horrifying. And when you see the bench moves Philly has made, like adding Dean Wade, Anthony Simons, and Ariel Hugporty, overall, while Miami still has too many holes in their roster, and the other rosters of teams LeBron is considering seem to lack star power, or at the least in some cases, like with James Harden or even Steph Curry and his injuries, the trust in those stars or the trust that they will be on the court is just not there. Philadelphia seems like the roster that LeBron and Rich Paul are looking at and are starting to think that it will be the best place for LeBron to play basketball and close out his career, possibly getting another championship on. With the amount that they discuss this team especially, they are definitely considering it right now and thinking about all the upside. And with the player personnel, everyone either has a good history with LeBron or is like family to him for the most part. And stacking it all up, it at least feels like right now, especially based on where the other teams are at, there is too much upside coming to Philadelphia. And while the race is definitely too close to tell and a lot more could happen, there is also a possibility and rumor that LeBron will announce that he is going full Captain America tomorrow. And he will sign with the 76ers on July 4th on the 250th anniversary of America's independence in 1776. And now, while I don't know about all that, although it would be really, really cool, what is for sure is that if LeBron is on the floor with his basketball godson and Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid, that won't just be the scariest starting 5 in the entire league to go up against, but that might be the most lethal starting 5 on the offensive end, well, ever, and the reality of that can cause so many problems. So now with all that said, let me know. What are your thoughts on this LeBron saga? What teams do you think are the favorites? Do you think Philadelphia is really going to be the team to end up getting him? Or do you think he's going to go back to a team he has already bet on? Now listen, if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to subscribe and hype up the video while you're at it. It helps us out so much, and leave a like as well. And if you want to see how before this, well, LeBron is making moves that are changing the fabric of the league, and they are so important. And at the same time, well, the Jaylen Brown trade that got us here, it makes no sense for the Celtics, and it might be their downfall. Well, you're not going to want to miss these ones, so check out the video on your end screen right now.